Today is a special episode. We compare Dr. Data Insights, a man with over a decade worth of analytical experience, has delivered his fair share of dashboards, digital strategies, reports, and clinically reviewed papers. His opponent none other than the young but famous ChatGPT, the natural language model that keeps on learning and improving every single day. Just to make this even more difficult for him, we will use the Data Analyst GPT. 3 questions, same data set. Point is given for the most complete answer. Who is going to be the judge? CoPilot. Stay tuned to find out the winner. Question 1. Which diagnosis is most likely to require out-of-region care?
All right, this first question seems a little bit like a warm-up question, but there is layers of nuances that we can add to it to make it a little bit more complex. However, usually when someone's asking you a simple question, they want a simple answer. So we'll try to keep it simple, but apply enough nuance so that we can win, essentially. So we're going to use one of the techniques we discussed within our course, not change the data, but use pivot table to answer this specific question. So we're going to just do a frequency analysis. So how many admissions for each diagnosis. So we can use an ID because we know that that's meant to be a unique field. Use the count of the ID. We can apply the diagnosis in our rows to break down this aggregation. Let's just sort it as well by the highest to lowest values. There we go, and we can see stroke is right at the top, but just remember that they said in region activity, so we need that in there, and we're gonna put a filter for out of region, and most definitely we can see that stroke is at the highest. In some cases it would make sense because stroke would naturally be an emergency admission, so you're just likely to go to your closest facility, but let's just reinforce some of this just so that we can add a little bit more detail to our answer. We can put the hospital in the columns field pane, and let's apply a conditional formatting just to quickly visualize, and we can just do the green to white color scale, and we'll visualize how many hospitals had stroke as the highest value. So the darker green indicates a higher number, so we know King's College did, Royal Free, UCLH. The reason it's a little bit less green is because it's doing a comparison on all of the values. So in this case, it's St. Mary's is a little bit lower than the highest of 4. But we can say definitely for 4 of the 6 hospitals within the top 2, and then for at least 3 of the hospitals is definitely the highest value. So that just gives us a little bit more context and detail that we can put in our answer that hopefully means that we can take round 1.
Dr. Data answer. The dataset indicates that stroke is the most frequent diagnosis linked to out-of-region care. It is in the top 2 for 4 out of 6 hospitals. This may be due to the urgent nature of stroke cases, where patients are taken to the closest available facility, overriding regional boundaries to prioritize immediate treatment. While this pattern is evident, the dataset is limited in size.
Okay, let's get a little bit of feedback as to why ChatGPT took that first round. So CoPilot gives us a little bit of a breakdown table of the different criteria points it was looking at. It noted that we both got the same answers, but let's just go to the verdict. So in ChatGPT, which was answer 1, I tried to create this distinction so it didn't show any AI favoritism. It highlighted that it had a better depth of system thinking, while in my one it highlighted that I brought some real-world clinical lens to my answer. So this one's a little bit tough to take because I feel like it's saying that my answer was more realistic, but it's highlighting answer 1 was more actionable and strategic. I guess the question in itself was a little bit vague, so it allowed for more vague strategic answer, which obviously ChatGPT is really good at, but maybe that's just me being a little bit of a sore loser in this first round. But anyway, let's see how we do in question 2.